Welcome everyone to the July 20th, 2020 meeting of the Williamsburg Area School District Board of Directors. Tonight during the meeting, unfortunately, our secretary was not able to be with us. So Mr. Erickson is doing the secretarial duty. So if we have a little lag in something or need to explain something, anybody watching or here with us today, that would be the reason why. Let's start today with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, here's your first test, Mr. Erickson. We have two people who are not with us, one not going to be, one in person, but online. So if you could do a roll call, please.
Okay, Mrs. Bechtel,
Present.
Mr. Wingert,
Here.
Mrs. Harold,
Here.
Mrs. Zimmerman,
Here.
Mrs. Strite,
Here.
Mr. McDonald,
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Here.
Dr. Royer, Mrs. Miles.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, and just FYI, Nick, when it didn't matter for that one, but on the other issues, the board president will be the last one to vote on a roll call vote.
Okay, yep.
Just so you know,
Sounds good.
okay? Okay, first item is the approval of the agenda. Don't believe we have any changes to that. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes is the next one. Do we have a motion on the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or problems with the minutes from our last meeting? Okay, if not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mrs. Harold, who seconded that?
Ms.
Motion.
Bechtel.
Mrs. Pickel.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Erickson,
Yes,
my password is not working tonight, so therefore I'm not going to be able to vote on my screen. Okay,
that's fine. Thank
just to
you.
let you know that.
And I will not be either.
I'm not even opening the online voting because not everybody's using it.
Okay.
That's going to be more confusing for myself if not
Okay,
everybody.
excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Klein.
Okay, well, just to give you a little update, I actually met yesterday with the state epidemiologist who was sort of the head of the rapid response team for education. Met with her yesterday. She's very complimentary of the district and how we were able to get through the volumes and the amount of data and what we could actually show. So that was a good thing. The only thing, there were a couple federal issues of requirements that took me off guard that then I checked with our solicitor. He said that's correct. So we can still not mandate masks, but on the bus we do have to because our solicitor and others, I have seen other firms that are saying that school buses are interpreting that as public transportation, so we do have to require masking on the buses, but in the schools we don't. They also talked about, she talked about quarantining. We are going to try to limit it as much as possible, but she said I thought she said it was PA code. I checked with the solicitor. He said, yes, that's correct. There will be some requirements to minimum of quarantining people. However, there's a lot of if this or if that, the quarantining could be limited. So it may have to do with, and it lets our elementary kids out, not the staff, but our elementary kids out. But if someone is vaccinated, they do not have to quarantine if they are a close contact also. And it's in our plan that you'll be approving today. And again, just a reminder, that plan, you'll approve it, but we'll be able to revise it without having to send it to the state every time. We'll be able to revise it. We just have to put it on our website each time. But we'll be able to revise it as much as we want. But the other thing is that if someone falls within that 3 to 6 feet of area and are considered a close contact, that if they are not wearing a mask, they will have to quarantine the days that we used last year. If they are wearing a mask, that they could actually, that will be able to not have to quarantine. So there are some changes there that we're dealing with, trying to work through it. But I wanted to make sure that was clear because we are hoping to change some of those things. Again, it was a positive meeting. I felt like they were working against us all year long, but towards the end, I felt like they became kind of a fan. So, and I don't know why that was, but it did seem like that. So that's kind of an update where we're at with the whole COVID-19. And one quick thing is that if a student or a staff member is positive, or we think that if they have certain symptoms, we have been working with the U.S. Army. I know the state's working through it, but the state tends to be pretty slow with some of it. So we've already got an agreement with the U.S. Army to get test kits and have our nurses trained. So if parents would choose to have their child tested with, it would be the swab in the mouth. It would not be the lab test. It would be the rapid test. That we are working on getting that in all 6 schools. Our nurses would have to be trained, but that may also help limit the quarantining and isolating if we have some evidence that that child is not, or the staff member is not positive. So we're working through all that, but I just want to give you an update. So sorry, it's lengthy, but it's been a long process.
Okay. Next item is public comment. If anyone would like to speak today, please limit your remarks to 5 minutes and just give us your name and address. Would anybody like to speak? Yes, sir. Come up to the podium, please.
Yes, my name is Jim Meadows, like Mark Meadows, 11707 Woodley Drive in Waynesboro. And I'm here tonight to express my opposition to any critical race theory teaching that would go on in the Waynesboro School District. CRT is actually a viewpoint. It was thought of by a professor in Ivy League school in '97. So it's nothing more than a theory, an idea, a viewpoint. We cannot teach Christian viewpoints in our school. We cannot give those viewpoints. And I think Christians and around the country and the better part have accepted that. But the point comes if you're going to teach another viewpoint, then why aren't we allowed to teach a viewpoint that we favor? So just want to know how a school district can allow one viewpoint yet not another. It's actually, when you teach a theory, we're wasting time. Our country, as of this year, is 30th in the world, total educational ranking. We are 40th in math. So for the school to take up any type of theory training, viewpoint training, takes time away from what our kids need to be able to compete in this world. Math, science. If we take time away from that, we're staying down this list, or we're not moving up. So if it's, no matter what, I think everything has to be looked at from a standpoint of let's utilize our time to teach a subject and not get off on some professor's theory in 1997. This is a radical racist theory. It teaches oppression. It teaches that some are oppressed. Some are the oppressors. We all probably have heard about it, know about it. But I oppose, as a parent, as a taxpayer in the school district, any critical race theory training or any thoughts of implementing anything that looks like it. We know that districts have said that we do not teach critical race theory, but it will creep in. It'll slip in, and we won't know it as parents. We won't know it as taxpayers. We won't know it as the people who finance this building and the chair that you're sitting in, the salaries, even the union dues. They're paid by the taxpayer. So we strongly urge that anything like that not be taught. But I would like to ask the board to consider classroom cameras streaming on an app, pretty much like you have in a health portal, where only patients, in this case, only parents, would be invited and able to participate. But it would, I know, come with a lot of opposition. But it's the only way that we as parents can tell if it's slipping in. So, to be honest with you, I'm a grandparent. I'm a great grandparent. I have no one in this school district. My great grandson was here last year, but he moved to Greensboro, North Carolina. But I sit home and I give lip service to this. And I couldn't sit there anymore. I had to come in and talk to you and let you know how I feel. And there's plenty of people like me that do not want this theory taught. Let's stay to the basics. Let's take our time teaching math, science, English. Not this crap.
Okay, thank you for your comments, sir. Things like your suggestion, we don't really engage in back and forth usually at this setting, but you're free to certainly call to speak with someone here at Clayton Avenue at some point if you wanted to pursue any of that more. And I'll also tell you that any curriculum is available to be seen. It's public knowledge. You're free to look at that whenever you could set that up.
Yeah,
Okay.
and, got a question.
Okay. And that way you would,
Explanation.
okay, I would suggest then you would call over here and they could set you up with somebody who could help answer your questions. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak tonight?
But I asked
Yeah.
what-
Well, we wouldn't give an opinion like that before a discussion. And it's not on the agenda tonight to speak about that. It has not been raised as an issue. We have no significant curriculum changes, so that wouldn't be discussed at this point. Not that it would never happen, but it wouldn't happen tonight. Hey, Ms. Brochus, you want to speak?
Hello, my name is America Brocious and I live on Delaware Circle in Waynesboro. I noticed on the agenda this evening that one of the items that needed to be discussed and acted upon was the contract extension with Jay Scott. As I was looking into that proposal, I noticed that this specific wording stated my understanding was that he was to give some information in regards to the implementing programs and content consistent with systemic change built around first choice. So I would like clarification as to what that means and what is the end goal for the district should they choose to move forward with that.
Okay, when the issue comes up, Dr. Klein will address that.
Great, thank you.
Since
The
it's on the
other-
agenda. Yeah.
Thank you. The other question is on the agenda. I noticed that they're in the personnel files, that there was a number of new hires. A couple of them were funded by the ESSER 3 funding, such as 3 professional staff changes, a new computer tech, a school counselor for Maori. There was also a professional staff that was listed for $49,135 for elementary, but it said it was to be determined what their position would be, but it did say that it was ESSER 3 funding. So if somebody could explain how they know the amount of money the person's supposed to make and that it will be covered under ESSER 3 funding, but yet they don't know the position to be listed in the paperwork, I would appreciate clarification on that. And there was also a concern in regards to a couple of people have told me recently that there have been some teachers that went to some training in regards to some restorative justice and equity. And I would like to know what the school board feels about that, or why that was occurring, and how this school board is going to use that or implement that in the future.
Okay.
And the only other question I would like to mention is that Dr. Klein had mentioned this evening about the schools, the buses requiring masks. And for parents who choose not to have their child ride the bus, we have been having a number of issues, specifically at Hooverville, but also at Fairview Elementary. Those 2 school districts have been very problematic when it comes to pickups and drop-offs. For the traffic issues. There was actually an accident in the spring right in front of Hooverville with a parent that was trying to exit and they couldn't see around all of the cars that were lined up on Route 16. I have called the state about it. They say it is specifically a school district issue. We have talked with the school police officer, the school principal, and the school busing and transportation person. And we still cannot get a resolution for this traffic issue. And my concern is that if we don't get this resolved before the beginning of school, that with parents, if they choose not to do the busing because of mask and they're now picking up and dropping off, these 2 specific schools could become even more problemsome for the people who are traveling in front of in front of those schools. And we certainly don't want to see a family hurt. A family was injured in the car accident. It was a child leaving the school that was in the car. But thankfully it was minimal. It could have been much, much worse the way the speeds go. And the lights on 16 are supposed to go off at certain timeframes, and they are not on long enough to protect the families that are sitting out there waiting to pick up their children. So if the district could address that at some point, or if they need help from parents from both of those schools, I know a number of parents who would be willing to serve on a committee to get some resolution and do some of the work. I realize that Dr. Klein is super busy because, of all the concerns with COVID, but as a school district, I do think to protect our children, we need to address that issue.
Mr. Gross, I just want to clarify.
Yes,
something.
sir.
Did you say the state said that they had no responsibility with the school? 'Cause
That
it's
is-
a state road. I
they-
think that was the.
Right, he
issue
said
for
it
us.
is a state road. However, that entrance is not
Right,
an
the entrance was it.
intersection. And so he said it is not a concern
Right.
for the school district. I asked him specifically about getting another crossing guard in there because the current crossing guard is coming from Summit View. When he's finished there, then he comes to Hooverville. And I asked the transportation and the school district, Waynesboro School District, about that. And they said that it had to be a fire police person. But in calling the state, it does not have to be a fire police because it is not an intersection. It simply has to be somebody who has had the training to stop the traffic. So our flaggers, because I've talked with the borough and the township, the flagger could do it if they just stop the traffic and if they're there for the full amount of time. And as far as Hooverville goes, I have some ideas that could help to alleviate some of those issues. But again, it needs to be addressed and resolved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Sternheim, can you address the ESSER issue to, not now,
Sure.
but when we get to personnel?
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the other issue, I would suggest you talk, I'm not familiar with the training that they went to. So I would start with talking to Dr. Sternheim, set up a meeting with her, a phone call with her. Then if you're not satisfied, come back and talk some more. Okay. And the busing issue too.
We'll work through that. Well, Mr. Holtzman and I look at that. Because there are some things that you were saying, I got to get some clarification.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak tonight? Yes, sir. Well, I think we have a whole, you're, okay, well, that's coming up actually as our next item. You got a whole item there on
I'm
here.
just jumping the gun, right?
Well, if anybody else wants to speak for public comment, or if not,
I knew when I was supposed to.
then you're on.
We were hoping you would be a crossing guard because we could use them.
No, no. Right. Anyhow, my name is Mike Aller. I'm one of the board directors of the Owls Club of Waynesboro. The last 18 months have been a trying time for us, the community, the country, and the world. The pandemic has altered our lives in ways we never could have imagined. We're happy to see that things are finally returning to normal, and may we never have to experience anything like this again. With the return of normalcy, we see the sports are back in full swing. We at the Owls Club have always tried to support the youth in the area, with youth sports being one of the ways we try to make a difference. We believe it builds character and camaraderie, making them better citizens of the community. We realize it takes more than uniforms and sporting equipment to run various programs. There are other costs involved, costs which are behind the scenes, but no less are important. After reaching out to the athletic department to see if they were in need of anything we could possibly help with, Mr. McElwain, is that
That's
correct?
impressive.
Gave us a list of a few things that are needed and the associated cost. One, the new game time / radio station that can be used in the gymnasium and stadium at a cost of $1,900. The new record boards for all the sports to show the school's athletic records at a cost of $4,500. A new scoring table for the gymnasium with an interactive table and monitor at a cost of $6,500. We have decided to pay for all three, and hopefully they can be installed by the start of the new school year. On behalf of the members of the Owls Club of Waynesboro, it is my pleasure to present this check for $12,900 to the Waynesboro Area School District Athletic Department for purchase of these items.
And Owls Club has always been very supportive of not only the athletic department, but all adventures
we-
in the community here. So
Try to
we're
help as
very,
much as
very
we can.
grateful. to the
All
Owls
right.
Club for their
Thank you all
support.
for the-
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It's greatly appreciated.
And we'll give this check to Mr. Holtzman.
Didn't have it too long.
Yeah, let's go take a picture.
It's hard. I'll get that from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we can move on while they're getting a picture taken out there with board reports. So do we have any reports from our committees over the past couple weeks?
So we meet Wednesday.
Okay. That's
and-
policy.
Oh, that's policy.
Mhm.
And I'm not really sure till we get to that, what to say, so we'll wait.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to?
Facilities met last night. There's a lot going on, as with, just like when you're taking
Thanks,
care of your house, there's always things to do. And with the buildings and the district property, there's a lot going on. We'll be coming with some things for approval for some projects that need to be done in August. But Mr. Adams, Mr. Postman have led, we've got a lot done over the summer. To us generators at all the elementary schools with an increased capacity needed fire alarm systems in 2 of our buildings. So there's some exciting work, needed work being done.
Thank you. The academic committee took a little break there, but we will be meeting, actually, it's going to be a change. I don't know if this other date is posted anywhere, Dr. Sternheim, but we'll be meeting on August the 4th, tentatively, but probably, for the next academic committee at 10 o'clock in the morning, right here. Any other committee? Okay, if not, we're moving into our regular business, starting with personnel. Dr. Sternheim.
Thank you, Mrs. Farrow. I'd like to direct your attention to the personnel items listed in the board docs. We have quite an assortment. We're going to start off with, I'm getting myself organized here, I apologize. Right, the first one listed, oh my, I apologize.
You losing everything?
No, it's all there. I'm trying to go in order.
Okay.
So I'm trying to go in order, like, I mean, I can do all the personnel. I just won't necessarily want, we're going with the first one. So beginning on the first page, we have resignation of support staff, appointments of support staff. We also have some changes in professional staff, changes in support staff, appointments of extracurricular staff, and appointments of summer student workers. We're still hiring some student workers at this point. Moving on, then we have several requests for leave. And then we also have a series of professional appointments. We have been very busy interviewing over the last month. So we have Timothy Mittler, who is joining our high school social studies department. We also have Amanda Eady, who is joining our high school's counseling department. Adriana McNair is joining Hooverville Elementary. We have Chloe Kovic, I believe, who is joining Fairview Elementary. We have Brendan Danella, who is joining us as an English teacher at the Waynesboro Area Senior High School. We also have Marsha Piles, who will be joining us as an elementary school counselor at Maury Elementary. Dakota McNair will be joining 5th grade at Summit View Elementary. Bailey Poole is the one that America had referenced, and she is, that was an error on my part. She is VIP for first choice for both 4th and 5th grade. And oh, you didn't watch all the videos.
Well, explain it.
Yeah.
On my one.
Yeah, so it's first choice virtual instruction program. So- Yes. Yes. And Dr. Goodine, I looked over here because Dr. Goodine has been pushing out a series of videos. And so, but yeah, that is our virtual instruction program for the 2021-22 school year and beyond. I believe I have all the personnel listed. There was one additional one. We are sorry to say that Mrs. Zimmerman is elected to take a position in another school district. But she has done an excellent job at the Waynesboro Area Middle School, and we wish her the very best. Recommendation is to approve all personnel as listed. I missed 2 of the teachers, according to Rachel Baker, who is an English teacher at the Waynesboro Senior High School, and Jenna Robbins, who will now also join the Social Studies Department at the Waynesboro Senior High School. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, thank you. Way too many windows open, so. And so we are delighted they will be joining the induction program for new educators. We do have the new teacher luncheon scheduled for August 16th, and there's information. And my goal then is I'm hoping we don't have to hire any more people at this point, but in anticipation, I'm going to invite them to the September board meeting because normally we have our new hires attend. So recommendation is to approve as listed. Thank you.
Your motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any questions for Dr. Sternheim?
Dr.
Yeah,
McCown.
actually, I have a question.
Yes.
The position you just talked about, the one that Bailey's picking up,
Mhm.
do they have a classroom? Like where do they teach? She'll be doing all cyber, right?
Mhm.
So where do they do that? from?
So at this point, what we've elected to do, we went back and forth in terms of whether or not we would try to locate that entire team in one building.
Yeah.
But at this point, Bailey will remain at Maury and she will have a classroom.
A whole classroom by herself. So.
Okay, never mind. Partial classroom.
So the virtual instruction for teachers will have an office. They're obviously gonna get
If you could step by the podium, Dr. Goodine,
Well, some of them will have rooms.
Mrs. Strite wouldn't be able to hear you.
Yeah, some of them do have rooms.
So it depends on the elementary building that they're in and the space that is in those buildings. So particularly Fairview, I believe, and Summit View that have some empty classrooms, those teachers are going to remain in those rooms. Some of the other teachers will have an office space where they will have different types of technology. Obviously, you need different technology devices to teach virtually than you do to be a regular classroom teacher. So they'll all be equipped with that technology at the elementary level. We're meeting with middle school tomorrow to work through that, but it just kind of depends on the space of the building and what they have.
Okay, so our people that are teaching technology are only teaching technology this year. Are we still having?
It depends on the age level band.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Got it.
When you meant technology, you meant teaching virtually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you hear
Yeah.
me, I'm like, oh, we got some new technology people. So yeah, so virtually,
Right,
that
right.
is correct. It is a work in progress and both Dr. Goodine and Mrs. Eberhard, as well as the entire first choice development team have been working very hard to continue to build the program.
And it's starting to pay off.
It is definitely starting to pay off. We are going to celebrate.
could I get a refresh on who seconded this motion?
Mr. McDonald.
Mr.
Okay.
McDonald.
Mr.
Awesome.
McDonald.
Thank you.
It was fast, but yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Sternheim? Okay, if not, all those in favor of accepting the personnel recommendations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Reapproving the calendar. Dr. Klein?
So I'll let
Nope.
Dr.
Dr. Sternheim's gonna do that one too. Okay.
So as a result of information that we received from PDE, we had to resubmit for our FID days, and I believe it's late, it's in the agenda further down where Dr. Klein may not be referencing that. What we had to do was we had to make 2 adjustments to the calendar with the understanding that we had pre-scheduled some FID days. And at this point, our FID day approval is only for snow makeup or inclement weather makeup days. And so therefore we had to go back and readjust the calendar. And so basically what we ended up doing is that we had originally scheduled a FID day as a remote learning day on November 12th. And so that is just going to be a regular school day. And then we also had scheduled a remote learning day on March 25th. That's going to be a regular school day as opposed to remote. And then what we ended up doing is, in fact, that we needed some additional in-service time. So the February 18th, rather than being the FID day, remote learning day, it will now be the Enact 80 day. So it hasn't really changed the calendar other than we had to remove the FID days from our calendar as pre-scheduled days for professional development.
Okay, motion,
Second.
questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, Dr. Klein, contract extension.
All right. Just kind of go back in time a little with Dr. Scott. Brought Dr. Scott in to work with us back last fall, I think it was, or last summer, to look at what we could do as far as we knew we were losing a number of students to cyber charters, and excuse me, we were also were anticipating that a number of kids would be departing us because of the virus in the schools. We brought him on to help us kind of guide us a little bit to building our own, so to speak, cyber charter. We had cyber options that we had, but they were still, students were still going to those cyber charters. And with some of his guidance, it also has morphed into that because of the cyber charter, he knew that the vision of first choice as being, we're trying to provide every child with their first choice of whatever they would want to do post high school. But it also is customizing, individualizing an education for each child. And he is very knowledgeable with customization. When we got him to come in, he was actually working with one of the major, he had actually worked at a high end with one of the major cyber charters. So having someone from the dark side come in and work with us was an advantage. That could tell us, you know, you're competing. And I will tell you, Emily, he told me today on the phone that it's a better product. So just want you to know that it's a better product now that what we're offering. And that's why we started with him. But with that program that Emily is working with now, it's also a part of a larger picture of instructional options that we want to have for families. And he is working with us because we still want to be able to individualize, personalize, customize, whatever you want to say it, for families to make better decisions or have more of a choice of how education will be done for their child. And that's really, that is the basis of first choice of getting, and it's based on 3 pillars. Those 3 pillars are the main one through the middle, and we have our own, some places you'll see the diagram around or the logo, but it is a pyramid. And the reason that is it's a pyramid is because the pyramid, I think, is the strongest structure physically. So we're trying to build a strong physically and mentally and emotional child and person that goes through school. And the 3 pillars of that pyramid, the career, the academic, and the whole child. Without one or the other, we can't reach first choice. And he understands that philosophy. So that's why we've asked him to come on. Now he's going to take a little bit of a different role. We are trying to transition in where our administrators are now. They've been, biting really strong and pushing like bulls coming out of a stall, wanting to take this over. And both Dr. Scott and I were very pulling back a lot, but we feel pretty good where we're heading because we want to maintain the fidelity of what we're trying to achieve because we believe it's not happening like this anywhere else. We believe this will be very unique and that others will look at it. There are parts across the nation, but we don't think it's been done completely. So that's why having him with us and working to even advise Megan McGuire, who is kind of the coordinator, our facilitator for the first choice development team, which is our administrators, with his advice and such. Actually, I had a meeting with her and him and myself today. He was in the area. Has been invaluable, and we'd like to continue him. It would only be till December. After that, we part ways. I have a feeling he'll still like hearing and being part of conversations, but as far as contract, December would be it. But it would help Megan, and I think with some of his other advice. This gentleman, as I said, was with one of the top cyber charters, but he also has been the executive director of the Lancaster Lebanon IU 13. He was also a superintendent in 2 different school districts, so he comes very well skilled.
Okay, and I see that there are 3 options here that you're looking at, or we can choose from. Are you making a recommendation for any of those in particular of the 3?
Yeah. What I'd like to do is be able to have him twice a month for just the 6 months or through December, and that's it. And really, he has been very open to say, and I've known him a while, to say, hey, if you guys don't want to continue this and it's November, I'm okay with it.
So that's option 1 then that you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And it's, like I said, only till December, because I feel like the team has really been gelling. They're ready to take it over, ready to move it. We're trying to get out of their way. We just want to make sure it's there. That we've probably been driving them crazy for the last 6 months. but we wanted to make sure we're sticking to the integrity of the program.
Okay.
And it's really not a program, it's a concept. So they're creating, and we called it a legacy project at one point. And part of it is because they're creating the legacy for the district. And because we do believe will be impactful.
Okay, so we're looking at option one, which is a $2,000 a month. Pays for those 2 meetings with travel and everything included in that. Follow-up would be virtual, whatever time that would take. Questions for Dr. Klein? Okay, do we have a motion to approve this request?
That's so moved.
Okay.
The
there are no-
document does say a 12-month contract.
That should be changed because that
It's
should be
right
through
above
December.
Option 1.
Okay, and that was
12 months.
missed because if you look up the
Yeah, at
second
the top
line.
it says July to December.
Okay, yes,
So-
it does. It
Okay,
does.
we missed that. Thank you.
Okay,
So it
so,
is 6 months.
okay, so it would be approved based on a 6-month contract, not. Unless they're talking about the end of the year. Can't find where that wording is, but they didn't mean like calendar year. Okay, so we're looking at the 6-month contract then, which again, on the document we're looking at is option 1. We had a motion and a second. Unless there's other questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, next item. How we're going to use these FID days. Is that,
Yep, that's me.
That's you?
Sorry about
Okay.
that. Trying to write my notes.
okay,
Okay. We, after last year, obviously we're in school most of the time and there were days, not a lot, but days that we were virtual and such, where many districts were virtual a great deal of the time. The state, we thought we would apply for these FID days and be able to place them strategically and use them. Really didn't, that wasn't the original intent of FID days, but we thought we'd try because we thought, cyber charters can do as many of them as they want. Why do we have to go through so much approval? And also we thought, we can use these to do some professional development and other things during that time or have some flexibility. The state, my understanding with them is that they try to get a lot more strict because there were school districts that were not following through as well as they should have. So they were going to be, and we couldn't have been included in it because we were in school most of the time. So that was my understanding. So they've put stricter rules and they are looking at these a lot more carefully and going back to the original intent. Because many districts would use them on the snow makeup day and have the kids, not the snow makeup day, but day of the snow, they do it on the makeup day. But what they're saying now is that we've got to do it on the snow day if we're going to use them. So they've gotten strict. They've also gotten stricter with the parameters of it. The only issue that I'm going to have with this right now is with Erin Kuzer out, and if she's out tomorrow, we sent it in. They approved some things there. We've made some changes, but they said we had to have the minutes, your signature on a paper as president to approve that by tomorrow. So if the minutes are not done by tomorrow, I have to ask the state if we can have an extension because of the secretary, being out. If they give us that extension, then we'll be okay. If not, I'm not sure it'll pass. So for us, but we are asking for you to approve it so we can at least try. So then what would happen? We would use our snow makeup days, which I think are 3, right? And then any snow day after that, we'll use FID days. That we'll do them online.
Okay. Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Take your pick there, Mr. Erickson. Any other questions for Dr. Klein? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Health and safety plan. That's Dr. Klein again?
I'm sorry.
Are you the health
Writing
and
my
safety
notes again.
plan?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I alluded to a little bit of it. Again, I want to emphasize that this plan's been updated. I've gone through our nurse who made some changes, our solicitor. We're also gonna, be sharing it with our connection at WellSpan. But we've made those adjustments to meet the state's requirements. And part of the reason they call it the ARP ESSER Health and Safety Plan is in order to qualify for the grant money, we have to have this done. You have to approve it before the 30th or 31st of July, and then it has to be put on our website. At least a link. And I also have a link in the plan to some of the rules that we have to follow. But it'll be on the website. If you pass it today, we'll put it on tomorrow, hopefully. And then we can qualify for the grant money that, we're hoping to get.
Okay. We don't change it again. All right. Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions?
It does not have to be state approved as far as the details this time, but they will check to see that we put it on the website and we followed the template and stuff.
Okay. No other questions then? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item, just lost my agenda, is the first reading of the policies.
Okay, you have three policies there, emergency preparedness and response, dating violence, and weapons. So we have those in place. There are some throughout the first and second readings that are in response to the pandemic that were health and safety type updates, but not all of these are. But I wanted to make sure we point that out. And we're just asking for you to approve the first reading. If there are changes you would like to have, we can take it back to the committee.
Okay. Motion?
Move to approve 805, 252, and 218.1.
Okay, second? Questions from anybody at this point? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the first reading, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And now to the second reading.
Okay, the second reading, again, we have 4 of them here, 340, which is a responsibility for student welfare, 317.1, educator misconduct, 824, maintaining professional adult student boundaries, and 249, bullying and cyberbullying. Most of those have come from PSBA, the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, as an update, except for the one, the 824. That one's been the most difficult one trying to look at because, with many of you on the board being teachers and a lot of us that really care about kids and the relationship with kids, we're always worried about those boundaries and what those boundaries are. Our solicitor said it's not a bad thing to have in place, and we've had administrators recommend doing one. So we're just asking for approval of the fourth or second reading, and they have gone through, Ms. Sullivan, a lot.
We have gone through these many, many times, many, many months, and many, many meetings. I thought we had it this time, but there's still a few words that are difficult for us as educators. And I think I have to go with what you think of on this one, Todd. I mean, if you think they're ready to go, I will definitely make the motion that we have gone through them fine tooth comb. I don't know what else we can do except take a few more words out.
I think we did the best we could with what we have. If somebody can point out some issues with certain areas that we can take back and redo, I think that would be a good thing because, particularly 824, I think is one that is going to be very difficult for all of us. I don't, we want to have it, but it is a difficult one, I think, to, in today's day and age, we need it, but, you know, I think everybody that's worked with kids find it very difficult to hold that you feel handcuffed.
Well, and that is exactly right. I mean, none of us on the board are working in education anymore. That we have to look at the way things are now rather than how they were, you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But we will certainly do it however the board wants it. We can take them back again and they can be our first ones on Monday. If you want to give us, I mean, Wednesday, if you want to give us specifics. Not saying that it's definitely going to pass. Bonnie's here, Pat's here. They both know how much we've been through this, and Wendy's our other one. So
We want to make sure it's everybody feels comfortable.
yeah,
And that's going to be a tough thing.
So do you want to make a motion? I would like to pull, actually like to act on, there's only 4 of them, each one separately.
Oh,
So.
okay. Well,
that
I
would
have my
be-
notes here, so I'm ready.
Okay, so,
The first one, 340, responsibility for student welfare.
okay, so you're making a motion to approve 340.
Mhm.
Do we have a second?
Hold on. I gotta add motions now too.
You good,
Who
Nick?
Yep, who seconded that one?
Mr. McDonald.
Mr. McDonald.
Okay.
Okay, do we have questions? Okay, I do. There's one sentence I don't like because I think it's too vague and can be interpreted in many different ways, and that is,
Hold
Eat-
on. I just blinked off.
okay,
Okay.
it's a sentence that says each employee is responsible to ensure that students
Mhm.
are supervised by a teacher,
Mhm.
other staff member, or designee when circumstances require it. That's my problem, while engaged in district activities. So if you take that sentence out, I could go for that policy, but I don't like that sentence, and that's one was added. So I don't know what you guys think about that. That's my 2 cents on that.
Didn't that come from the state?
No, I think the
Oh.
committee came up with that.
Oh,
No, that came from the attorney. I'm
Oh,
pretty
maybe
sure.
it did,
And
okay.
then we added in the green.
Right, when the circumstances require it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
basically,
right, that's
Right.
what I was.
but
looking at.
yeah.
There, in my opinion, there are many instances in high school situations, especially, not so much elementary, where a student may not be supervised for a teacher or by a teacher or another staff member. And I mean, I guess it helps to look as a little more wiggle room when you say when circumstances require it, but you know, whatever it might be, you know, one of the examples I brought up, because we did talk about this in the policy committee, is, you know, you're at a school sanctioned game and somebody has to go to the bathroom, somebody have to walk into the bathroom. Now, somebody could say, well, that isn't when circumstances require it. Somebody else might say it is. And there's other times when kids aren't supervised at all times, engaged in district activities. So I think it depends on the age of the kid. I think it depends on the circumstances, but putting that in there could, I think, cause a problem for situations that, you know, shouldn't be challenged, but could be if it's in there. That's my.
And again, I
feeling on that
don't
one.
necessarily disagree with you. We can run it back through committee again. What do you think, Pat?
I think.
Agree. Let me give you an example. Okay, in the past, not recently. Teacher needs to use the lavatory. Because they're sitting there doing their work. There's nobody looking at them. Somebody walks by. You weren't having your kids, you know, supervised. Is that really necessary? But teachers were called down for that and written up for that. That's my problem with it. It's not so much now. It could be the future. And if it says in policy and stays there and somebody pick, or even if it's in there now and somebody picks it out and let's go. That's my objection. Mhm.
Disciplinary history, so members of the class. Do need that supervision. I can use the restroom if I think of my fifth period of a certain year, okay? But I would never, ever go during eighth period. I never would.
I agree with you 100%. But when you leave, if this is in there and the administration's decision is based on everybody should be supervised, there's almost no circumstances, or that's not a legitimate circumstance. That's the issue that I have.
I think you can take it out, you won't be yourself. Because let's face it, honestly, teachers, classes are intended to run across the hall, to run a message next door, or cell phones, to take a coach's took phone calls in the library. It was, I want to say it was constant. Do that as just, I hate to say it, but it's normal practice. It's nurses leaving a patient to go across the hall to do something else, take a pill with somebody else. I mean, you can't be everywhere at all times. So the circumstances you have to be disabled. And I think that phrase covers that.
I could engage a whole lot more, but I got more coming up. This is little compared to what's coming up. So, okay.
I know.
All right, so-
Send it back to committee, but
Well, let's take
But
a
it's,
vote on it.
it's,
okay.
so the vote is yes or no. If
Yep.
it says yes, then it's in. If it's not, then you can take it back to the committee.
Right.
Okay, so all those in favor of accepting policy 340, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed would be me. Okay, so Nick, you got that recorded. Okay, next one,
Working on. Okay, all right.
249.
249.
Bullying, cyberbullying.
We have a motion to accept that.
Oh, yeah, I move to approve 249, bullying and cyberbullying, second reading.
Do a second?
Second.
Okay, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next one.
Okay, maintaining professional adult student, would you like to skip that? No.
Well, sure. All right, we'll do 317 next. Do we have a motion to approve 317.1?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
All right.
let's
now-
look at
You don't have anything
824
on that one,
on 317.
right? Or did we fix it?
No, I thought you fixed it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
We fixed it.
Mine was not an easy one.
None of those were easy
Yeah.
ones.
We kicked these down.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure you did.
Months.
all right, now,
Months.
Months.
the
And
last
this is-
one has been with us for way more than months.
I think
It's
over a
been with
year.
us for years that we've been coming back to this. It's going through staff, it's going through association, it's going through admin, and of course, us numerous times.
The solicitor.
Oh, yeah, the attorney, yeah. So, yeah,
You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll go with it.
Okay.
I move it's 824, second reading, maintaining professional, adult and student boundaries.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Comment? Question? Okay, well, I feel so strong about this, I actually took notes. So we'll see how I get through these. I basically ran for the board. The great majority of the reason I ran was because of things that are covered in here. The philosophy of the past administration felt very different on these issues than I did. And I think their policies reflected that. I believe that the biggest influence on a kid's education outside of their family and their home isn't some great program. It's not a book. It's nice, not nice new desks. It's not mulch on the playground. It isn't new technology. It's the teacher. What makes the teacher successful is a willingness not just to impart the knowledge of the class or the skills that they're going to learn, but it's the willingness to show that they care about the child and that they do have some kind of personal connection appropriate in that relationship. I think there are examples sitting right here, and I'm going to give you 4 of them, one for each of the 4 former educators in here, that I think would violate some things in this policy. Mr. McDonald,
We better run.
who worked with kids, held them responsible to get the work done, would spend all kinds of time after school, before school, whatever it took to get that child to do the work and hopefully learn in the process. But when he was doing that, he wasn't just talking about diagramming sentences or the latest book. I guarantee you, he was joking with the kid. They were talking about the dog of the student or whatever on a personal level, which of course made him make the kid, because they cared that Mr. McDonald cared about them, they would work harder for him and get it done. So that was the personal touch that, if you took some of these to the letter of the law, he wouldn't be able to do with that. Mrs. Sullivan,
Yikes.
who has spent not just time, which is a lot of time and a lot of money trying to help, especially the at-risk kids that she's worked with, goes way beyond what most teachers do. Most of them don't want to do, but she has spent time doing that, which again, and probably gone to their house, which would have been violated in this, not to their house. Oh yeah, I have gone to the house.
If I had
Okay.
to, yeah.
Mrs.
something done.
Zimmerman, who the best example I can give you, who not only helped, and I know more than one child get medical assistance, thanks to her husband, but connected it there, I'm sure free of charge for needy kids. In one case, took a child from, or not took a child, but worked with a child from a very difficult home life, gave them a safe place to be, and followed them through their education, became like a family to them. Can't happen if these are enforced. And Mrs. Bakewell, who I was once told before I knew Mrs. Bakewell, who I did not know very well prior to being on the board, Bonnie will always win. I don't care how bad she is. I don't care if she ever shows up. They love her. She was, she is so popular. It doesn't matter what she does on the board. People will never forget what she did to their children or to them as kindergarten students. And recently I heard where we're talking about the hugging thing, you're not supposed to touch anybody, and we know that. And not the story, I won't tell the story we all know about Mrs. Bakewell and the hugs, but they said, you were told, I don't know if this is true, you were told specifically, you can't hug these kids.
Right.
She said, heck with that. If a child needs a 5-year-old needs a hug, I'm going to give them a hug. So all of us in this room, you would not be, I get the time has changed, but sometimes we have to be humans, not just follow these rules that we have. If you take these, I'm not done yet, but taking these to the extreme too. I mean, there's the thing in here, which is number 14 under the social. I have no problems with obviously the sexual interactions that aren't appropriate. This is under the social. Addressing students or permitting students to address adults with personalized terms of endearment, pet names, or otherwise in an overly familiar manner. That's no Mac for Pat McNamee. That's no Griff for Eric Griffith. That's
Mr. Mac, no Griff.
That's no Mr. T for Mr. Thomas. I mean, a teacher knows if somebody says something to you, calls you an inappropriate name, they're trying to be endear or whatever, and you say no. Any teacher has a right to say that. You will call me by my proper name. But in building relationships, in coaching, I mean, I assume coach would be okay to call somebody. But I think, again, the way it's written, it scares me. You can't have birthday banners because it's not curricular. Now, that's not specifically in here, but again, we know examples not that long ago where people had to take down a birthday banner from a 3rd grade classroom. My friend just told me that the other day. You can't have the Steelers poster. That's too personal. You're giving your feeling about, you like the, mean, come on. How do we engage kids if we're not willing to not just listen to them, which is important, but also to share a little bit with us? No conversations about the accident you saw on the way to school. No sharing about a trip you took to wherever. No expression of sadness because your dog died the day before. That's number 5 and number 16. If you took it to the degree you could. Nobody asking, you can't have some nice high school kid you've met in class, you got to know a little bit and say, come to my house and please babysit my kids, because that's against number 10. No notes of encouragement. Congratulations to students who won a big Little League game, because that's not curricular or educational. Finish an Eagles project or win the kickboxing. I had a kid who won the kickboxing championship, or a shooting competition, because that says it has to be, educational for us. No hugging. Big win or loss after a game, and the coach still hug the kids, hooray, or hug them because they're crying because they gave up the home run. No tears would usually not require, but cause the teacher to perhaps hug a kid because of a loss in their family. If we follow this policy to the degree that it could be, I think we're back to those policies that I think strongly encouraged the losing of close to 50% of our faculty in a 5-year span. And that wasn't that long ago. Because when we lose the personal touch, one of the slogans back in those days were, I think it was responsibility, rigor, responsibility, and relationship. And somebody can correct me if I got the one wrong. So I asked the superintendent, I said, well, where's the relationship in these policies? I don't see any, I didn't get an answer because there wasn't any, or it was very hard to point to. A teacher does not have to join the table of some students in a restaurant that they coincidentally meet. They do not have to spend Saturday afternoon at a soccer game or a Legion game, and then later talk to the kids about it. A teacher doesn't have to take a homeless kid in, which this has happened, not from anybody here, until they figure out what their life is going to be. A teacher does not have to take some students on a whitewater rafting trip, a sailing trip, to an art gallery on their own time, which this could potentially prohibit. All those things have happened. But if they do decide to do that, and most don't, but many do, they shouldn't have to worry about their job being on the line because they took an interest. The thing that talks about you can't have these personal conversations or special time with one student in particular. Okay, they're the ones that need it. If they're telling you about how grandma dying has affected my family and they trust you, they don't want to go to the guidance counselor, they know you. I don't think that's inappropriate. If it does become extreme, then you do send them to more help. I don't want to see that lost. We don't teach our subjects, we teach our kids. That's what we're supposed to be here for. And of the 16 that are left, I have issues with 10 of them. So, I mean, the board, you guys, many of you know how I feel about this, not everybody, but this is kind of why I'm here. And I just cannot go for the way it's still in here. I know you guys spent a lot of time. I'm sorry for that. I know you have trying to work it out.
Oh, that's our job. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we're supposed
but
to do.
I
don't have, the thing is, like everything that you said we've already said at policy meetings. So it just has to come down
but they're
to.
recommendations, right? We don't have to accept these, right?
No, we don't have to
I
have
mean-
any policy at all. But
I'd like to add something to what Karen said. I looked for my shirt and couldn't find it tonight. But I was honored by a basketball player, to come to a game, and he gave me a shirt, et cetera, one of my students. And on the back of the shirt, it says, what the teacher is more important than what the teacher teaches.
You're talking about affect.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely trying to cover it.
yeah,
Which is absolutely devoid of this policy. You're absolutely correct.
yeah.
I think if an administrator, we'd have to trust the administrator, or we'd have to trust the administration to interpret whatever potential violation in the extreme. I don't disagree with anything you said, but you also mentioned if we took this to the extreme a number of times, and I agree.
Mhm.
But we'd have to trust whatever the current administration was to apply a layer or a cushion of affective learning on anything that would be an extreme violation.
The way it's worded, going to a student's home without a legitimate educational reason, inviting a student to the adult's home. The pet names, that one's really pretty clear. You don't have any. I don't even think those are extreme. I don't know, I think I made my case and we can agree or disagree.
You did.
Perhaps we should
Take this one back.
look at just the social interaction parts again. I think the rest of it is okay. And I don't know. I don't think there's any rush that we have to have this.
This is your job. This is what you're supposed to do. It is healthy that you're talking about it, talking through it, trying to decide what you want to put in place and have people follow. So this is a very healthy process to go through.
Okay, so let's look at the social interaction part first on Wednesday. Dr. McCallum, are you gonna be here? Okay. How about Mr. Taylor? Are you gonna be here? Not him either.
No,
Okay.
maybe we need to change the date.
I mean, Mr.
You can bring any.
Huh?
No, I was gonna say,
bring others
Yeah,
in.
yeah, they're just the ones that
Right.
normally come, yeah. Okay. Well,
okay,
it looks
so
like,
you're rescinding your motion then?
I guess I should, yeah. Let's try to get a couple admin in here though, like from,
You're saying next Wednesday?
yeah. Isn't it next Wednesday?
28th, yeah.
28th,
That's
yes.
policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are here. I was gonna say I have the absence. there. Well, we'll have to look at our new.
The 21st.
Yeah, so the 28th, Dr. McCallum is present. Is it on the 28th? We
It's
have.
the last Wednesday of
It's
the
on the
month.
28th on this
One-
Yeah,
calendar
it would
thing.
nice to have an elementary administrator here too. Sure.
She was an elementary.
Oh, I know.
You
I'm
get a
sorry, but
twofer. You get a
we
twofer
need
there.
a- But I'm just thinking.
Yeah, 1 o'clock on the 28th.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes.
Weatherall has been
Okay,
coming,
that would be good.
so.
Okay, that'll work. If Dr. McCallum and Mr. Weatherall come and Emily, if you're around. Okay, okay, so it's next Wednesday, not tomorrow, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. And you have a new policy
I do.
committee
I do.
calendar, except we have to make one change on.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so there will not be a vote on that then tonight, and we will then move on to the next item, which is the superintendent contract. Need to talk about that or? you
Oh,
wanna start
Yeah,
there?
no problem.
Okay, so these are Dr. Sternheim and Dr. Klein and Mr. Holtzman's contracts all run out at the end of the coming year. So we can decide to renew those contracts within a year of when they would expire. So we have those three people's contracts here to be seen, with one change that I believe is going to be made in one. So we're going to look at the superintendent's contract first. Do we have a motion for any changes to that contract?
Yes, I do for the superintendent's contract. The way it is written here, it is effective July 1st, 22, ending July 30th, 25. And to go along with the assistant superintendents and the business manager, I'd really like to see all three of them on the same dates. So, of course, having a contract and staying that whole time, of course, is up to the person. But I would like it to say June 30th, 2027.
Okay, do we have a second for that motion
Second.
change? Okay.
Take your picnic.
Okay, any other changes before we have then a full motion to accept the contract? Maybe questions or comments or anything?
No, I have no issue with the 5 years. If the next few are like last year, I may not live that long.
And I understand. There were a couple days where I was like, ooh, Karen, it's not looking too good today.
Okay, Okay, then can we have a motion then to accept this contract?
I so
We already
moved.
have a motion and a second.
Well, we had to the change. We changed the contract, Nick. That was the first
The
one.
dates were changed.
The
Well, we
dates
didn't
were
vote.
changed.
You didn't vote on it.
We didn't
Wanna vote on
vote
that?
Oh,
on
we
it.
didn't vote on it. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're voting to approve the change from 25 to 2027. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, now we're looking for the motion to approve the acceptance of the contract with the change.
Can we approve all three of them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless somebody has,
Yeah, can we approve superintendent, assistant superintendent?
let's don't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they were presented. So let's just do it that way. Okay, so we
Thank
have
you.
a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now to the next item is the assistant superintendent. Do we have a motion to approve as is?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Hold on.
Sure.
Do we have any questions or problems or suggestions with this one? Okay, if not, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? On to the business manager.
Could I, who motioned and seconded that, please?
I have Mr. McDonald and Ms. Baker.
Okay,
Somebody
thank
else.
you.
It was a
Sorry.
close.
It was a really close second. I'm not really sure.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the business manager?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yeah,
It says this 5-year term commencing August 3rd, 2022. Are we allowed to do that now?
Yeah.
Even
Yes.
though it's over a year in advance?
If it's August.
For
actually,
business managers.
Yeah, for business
there's no
managers,
rules.
there's no
That is-
rules.
that
For
is
the
no
two of
rules.
us,
Good
it
question,
has to be
Tom.
within.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
yeah, good question.
Okay.
It's a great question. but there's no
Okay.
rules.
Yeah.
You can't do
that's
that for
good.
the superintendent.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just-
not allowed to with the
No.
superintendent.
No.
Okay.
Other comments, questions?
Great question.
If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, on to the YMCA agreement, whoever that may be.
Yes, ma'am. Annually, we have this agreement in place. We have reviewed it with the YMCA. This is for them to use the school facilities, the elementary schools for before and after care. It's the same amount that we've charged for many, many years. We don't feel there's any change that amount at this point. When they come back with approval, they might tweak the time a little bit because the times for some of the buildings vary a little bit. But that would be the only item they would come back with. I was corresponding with Ms. Gitka even today. This topic.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, questions about this? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is Laurel Life. And that is, that you, no.
No, it's- Why don't you just-
Sure, I could do that. So what we have here is a contract with Laurel Life to provide social workers for a 3-year agreement with the understanding that this is a contract that would have to be fulfilled based on a need, and obviously with us interviewing those individuals as well. At this point, we have identified one of the 3 listed, although we're still in the process. We have to continue to, analyze the needs of our students as well, as the entire district. So right now, this is an RFP for approval based on the fact that this would be funded with ESSER's funding. So it's a contract for Laurel Life, not necessarily saying we're committing to all 3 social workers. At this point, we have secured or would like to secure the services of one additional social worker or one social worker from this contract at Maury Elementary.
And she will be at Mallory all the time.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right,
Thank you.
transportation for non-public schools. Is that you, Mr. Holtzman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So as a requirement, of course, we must provide transportation to non-public schools if we provide transportation to public school students. It has to be up to 10 miles from the closest point of our border. For two of the schools, Shalom and Cumberland Valley, we've traditionally had separate contracts with them outside of the normal transportation contracts. They're willing to do it at the state rate. We pay our contractors a little bit more than the state rate, but they're both willing to do it. And it also gives them a little bit more flexibility so that if they needed to pick up a student in some of the neighboring districts, like such as in Chambersburg or Greencastle, on their way up, they could do that. If it was our busing contract with our contractors, they wouldn't be able to do that. So it does help us, and it actually helps those non-public schools as well. And they're one-year agreements.
Motion,
So moved.
Second.
questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. Healthcare agreement for a school psychologist.
Well, as you know, it's not easy to get school psychologists. So one way we're trying to address this issue because of just some of the recommendations from the report that we had done. We would like to go through another avenue in order to get that psychology help, in order to be able to test and have evaluations done to meet the deadlines that are required. It is not an easy to get qualified psychologists.
Motion,
So moved.
Second.
questions?
It will be as needed. It's not a.
I wonder, have we advertised?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've
Sure.
have advertised and we just
Yeah.
can't find anyone.
That's a good field if you have a young person wanting to go into it.
Okay,
Unless you know somebody like.
I don't think I know somebody who wants to change
Yeah.
in school districts.
okay, if there's nothing else. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Apple lease addendum, Mr. Erickson. Think,
Yep.
Yep, okay, take it away.
The high school music lab at our high school, the iMac devices are reaching the end of life. I did talk to Mr. Levine and our with renewing our current software that he does use there is no longer supported on our current devices. So we do need to refresh them. So I'm requesting approval for a 3-year lease at $9,523.07 a year, starting July 25th of this year. I'm hoping to recoup some of the costs by selling those 17 devices to a surplus company. They still have a value of about $500 a piece.
You said this is lighting, is that what you said? Lighting?
No, these are iMac devices for the sound.
For the sound,
Music lab,
okay.
for the school music lab for the music department. It's involved with a class that they actually teach as well within curriculum.
How many kids take advantage of this? This is something.
Yeah, we would have to double check. It's an actual lab. And the interesting thing is that I believe it was way back funded.
It was
probably
created
originally.
with way back.
Yes,
But this is $28,000.
but it's a 3-year lease.
Yes, it's a 3-year lease. And I was planning to pay that out of my replacement budget for equipment.
I don't understand if we're approving a 3-year lease, but we're hoping to sell these 17 devices?
The older devices, the old devices, not the new devices, the ones that are currently there.
Okay,
Yeah, not the new devices, the
okay,
current.
so we're gonna be leasing 17 new ones.
Yes, that is correct. And that is a dollar buyout lease. That is not a fair market. So we will own them at the end of that lease.
Okay, so these are special devices used in creating, they're not recording, are they recordings, whatever they are, in order
Yeah,
to,
they're using Logic Pro, it's called. So they're using digital instruments to create music, scores, and so forth.
Shouldn't this be in like the music budget? With the tech budget?
It is technology, so usually all equipment is in the technology budget, the replacement cycle for any equipment. And we have been putting this off as long as possible. When I went to renew the software provider said that it's no longer supported on this OS at this time.
Okay. We have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, no second. Therefore, we can put it off. Maybe people need to find out more information on this before they feel comfortable voting. Like that would be me. So,
And I'd like to know how many
okay,
students are signed up for this class.
Yes.
Mhm.
okay. All right, we'll just table this then until the next meeting. Okay.
Okay.
All right, that one's tabled. On to financials, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. We have bills for payment, purchase orders. We did add one file here at the beginning of the meeting. My apologies, but we had received some items we needed for both curriculum or essential books, math, about $10,000 worth, and $5,600 of library books. That's the last addition on their addendum PO file. And we also have a 21 real estate exoneration due to a veteran status. That would be a disabled veteran status. The Commonwealth makes that determination. That person is approved. We have a very small property assessment change from the appeals office. Exonerations for JP Harris, typically per capita and occupation taxes. And then last is a tax exoneration of a parcel because it met the Franklin County approval requirements for that. Again, small change.
Okay, so we're taking all of them together then, 1 through 5. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, Clayton Cabinet comments.
First of all, thank you for the extended contract. I appreciate it a great deal. It's been an honor working for the district over the last 4 years. And I'm looking forward to the next couple. Like I've told you, I can't promise how long, but I'm very proud of some of the things we've accomplished. And I've been very proud of our team here and our principal team of what's being accomplished. And I think some really good things are ahead with it. So thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Anything else, anyone?
I would also
Clayton?
like to say thank you as well, and ditto exactly what Dr. Klein is saying. If Dr. Klein can just hang out here for about 6 years, it'd be perfect. So just want to reiterate that we do have the job fair that's going on July 28th. We were here on July 13th and it was very successful. So we're looking forward to having people join the Borough Strong First Choice staff. Also within your folders, you should have a committee calendar that was prepared by Mrs. Kuzer. You also should have an invitation to the new educator luncheon, which is August 16th at 12 o'clock in the Washes cafeteria. Also, I had indicated earlier that I will hope to invite all our new educators to either the September 14th or 18th board meeting. Also within your packet, you have the first choice, just one of several first choice VIP handouts that we have been working on. Dr. Goodine and Mrs. Eberhardt has definitely taken a lead on this, but it was a way to make a comparison to what we have essentially researched in terms of what's out there and what we're able to provide or we're planning on providing this school year. And we are super excited. And I believe that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Board comments. You don't want to say anything?
I did
You
want
wanna
to
say
say,
something? I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. That's all
I
right.
want you to
Just,
jump in there.
it's hard to, again,
Okay.
certainly echoing the words of Dr. Klein, Dr. Certain, just very appreciative. Thank you very much for the contract. And I have to tell you, it was just an incredible year for last year, just to see how the community came together and we were able to continue education. That took everybody to do. And what a proud time. Thank you. Thanks for that opportunity.
I actually just want to say that it goes right along with what Eric just said, that I mean, yes, normally we only hear complaints because that's kind of the way things are in the world. But I gotta tell you, this year, I heard so little complaining. And I bet any place that I would go, of course, I didn't go that many places, but you know, any place I would go, I would have people like, oh, that's right, you're on the school board. Hey, I just want to tell you how like you guys are doing such a great job. This is like amazing, you know, like, and I always give the credit right back to Todd because he's the one that hung in there. And I mean, you know, you're the one that took the final brunt of everything. But I bet I heard, I don't know, hundreds of people saying how much they appreciated being in school. And, you know, they didn't always like the rules, you know, but they were still really, really appreciative. Very, very few negatives, very few. And mostly the negatives were one thing, recess masks. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Which there really wasn't a lot we could do about that.
Anybody else?
Anyway, it made me proud. And
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the board's willingness to extend the contracts of our three top administrators says a lot. We know how hard
You guys worked
work.
hard
You
this
guys
year.
worked
Woo.
Very, they all did.
All
I
three of
mean,
them. Well, and the admin too. I mean,
admin,
and the teachers, oh my
to
gosh.
support everybody. Everybody connected, went above and beyond.
Yeah, everybody did.
It was easy for me to tell them to be here, but I didn't make it work. you
Right.
know?
And they had to be here, whether you
Yes.
told them to or not, they had to
Had to
be.
be.
And that's.
I want to
think greatly
thank you
appreciated.
for doing the early childhood at the high school. What has happened with our students that can earn 12 credits from Shippensburg University free
We're
to start.
hoping another 9, right?
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
is it-
This is
Or is it
9,
12?
9 for early
Nine.
childhood. That is
Okay,
correct.
9 for early childhood. Our pre-K class would never have happened without your guidance, all of you. And our teachers and our principals, I can't thank you enough for all you've done this year. Because it's been amazing.
Or in August, we should find out if we're going to add more classes of pre-K. So we're hoping to keep, you know, our goal was kind of to try to hit a third. The area qualifies for around 600, 700 kids for that program. And I looked those numbers up before I came here. And and my first thought was if we have a third of if we hit a third of that, we're getting close. It will have a major impact on the district's future. So, and what happens in those classrooms. So we are very close if we get this next grant.
Great. Okay, well, on that happy note, we do have another public comment. If anyone is interested in speaking. Yes.
America Brocious on Delaware Circle. Just wanted to ask, I'm really excited about the ESSER funding that so many people are being hired. I thank you for the clarification, Dr. Sternheim, in regards to that position. Just wanted to check to find out, has the board, because you eliminated the reading specialist in the past, are they going to be re-implemented because the ESSER funding does cover some of this additional address the learning loss, and the reading specialist would help to do that. So is the board interested in bringing that program back with that? And if so, or if not, when or why not?
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure Dr. Sternheim can address that maybe when we're finished here real quick. Okay. If there's no one else who would like to speak. All right, we will be going into executive session. We will not return. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.